The Amazon. Just the name itself conjures images of mystery, danger, and incredible life. For me, it's more than just a place on a map. It's the ultimate test of survival skills and a powerful reminder of nature's raw, untamed beauty. They call it the lungs of our planet, and for good reason. This vast, sprawling jungle breathes life into the world, producing a massive amount of the oxygen we all depend on. It's a place where evolution has run wild, creating a web of life so complex and interconnected that it boggles the mind. To step into the Amazon is to step back in time, into a world that has remained largely unchanged for millions of years. It's an adventure that calls to the very core of my being. My mission today, on this bright morning of June 14th, 2025, is to push deep into this incredible wilderness. I want to show you what it takes to navigate this environment, to find food and water, and to appreciate the sheer magnificence of it all. The importance of the Amazon cannot be overstated. It is a treasure trove of biodiversity, home to millions of species of plants, insects, and animals, many of which are still unknown to science. Its trees store vast quantities of carbon, helping to regulate the global climate. Losing the Amazon would be a catastrophic blow not just to the countless creatures that live here, but to all of humanity. It's a fight for survival on a global scale. Preparing for a journey like this is crucial. You need the right mindset and the right, albeit minimal, gear. A good knife is your best friend out here. A fire starter is essential. A water bottle and a way to purify water are non-negotiable. But more than any piece of equipment, you need respect. You must respect the power of the jungle, the creatures that call it home, and the ancient wisdom it holds. Arrogance is a killer in the wild. Humility, awareness, and the will to live are the tools that will see you through. Every step is a calculated risk, every decision a matter of life and death. This is the ultimate classroom. So here I am, standing at the edge of a seemingly impenetrable wall of green. The air is thick, heavy with moisture, and the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. It's a scent of life and death, all mixed into one potent perfume. The jungle is not just a collection of trees. It's a living, breathing entity. It has its own rhythms, its own rules. To survive, you have to learn to listen to it, to move with it, not against it. My adventure begins now. The plan is to follow this small tributary deeper into the jungle, using the water as my guide. It's time to go in. Let's do this. Pushing aside the first thick, waxy leaves feels like crossing a threshold into another world. The sunlight, so bright just moments ago, is now filtered through a dense, multi-layered canopy, casting a dim, greenish glow on the forest floor. Instantly, the temperature feels 10 degrees hotter, and the humidity wraps around you like a wet blanket. Every surface is damp. The ground underfoot is a soft, spongy carpet of fallen leaves, moss, and tangled roots that threaten to trip you with every step. You have to watch your footing constantly. A twisted ankle out here could be a death sentence, making you vulnerable and unable to travel. The sheer scale of the vegetation is overwhelming. Trees soar hundreds of feet into the sky, their massive trunks covered in vines, mosses, and epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants. Giant ferns, some as tall as a person, create a dense undergrowth that you have to hack through with a machete or find a way around. The variety of leaf shapes and sizes is incredible. Some are as big as dinner plates, while others are delicate and feathery. It's a world of green, but with infinite shades and textures. You quickly realize that this isn't just a forest, it's a vertical world, with life teeming at every level, from the soil to the highest branches. Everything here is fighting for its place in the sun. You can see it in the way the vines, known as lianas, snake their way up the tallest trees, using them as scaffolding to reach the light. Some of these lianas are as thick as my arm, strong enough to bear my weight if I needed to climb. The competition for resources is fierce, a constant, silent battle for survival that plays out over centuries. This struggle is what has driven the incredible diversity of life here. Every plant has developed its own unique strategy to thrive, from sharp thorns for defense to brightly colored flowers to attract specific pollinators. It's a masterclass in adaptation. As I move deeper, the feeling of isolation grows. The trail I was following, likely made by tapirs or other large animals, has all but vanished. Now I am truly forging my own path. The air is still, yet the jungle is anything but silent. It's a strange paradox. You feel completely alone, yet you know you are surrounded by millions of eyes. Every shadow could be hiding a jaguar, every rustle in the leaves a venomous snake. Your senses have to be on high alert, constantly scanning, listening, and smelling. This is what it means to be truly alive, to be completely present in the moment, because your survival depends on it. Close your eyes for a moment and just listen. The Amazon is not a quiet place. It is a cacophony of sound, a constant, overlapping symphony of life. The loudest and most pervasive sound comes from the insects. The high-pitched electric buzz of cicadas fills the air, rising and falling in waves. It's so intense at times that it feels like it's vibrating inside your skull. This constant hum is the bassline, the background music of the jungle. It's a sound that tells you this place is bursting with energy, with countless tiny creatures going about their lives. It's the heartbeat of the rainforest. Then, layered on top of the insects, are the calls of the birds. You might not see them often through the thick leaves, but you certainly hear them. The bizarre, echoing calls of toucans, the sharp squawks of parrots and macaws flying high overhead, and the melodic songs of countless smaller birds create a rich and varied soundscape. Each call has a meaning, a warning of a predator, a territorial dispute, or a search for a mate. Learning to distinguish these sounds is a key survival skill. A sudden silence, for instance, is often more alarming than a loud noise. It means a predator is near and everyone has gone quiet. As day turns to dusk, the orchestra changes its tune. The daytime performers quiet down, and the nocturnal creatures begin their chorus. The deep, guttural croaking of tree frogs starts up, a sound that can be surprisingly loud and resonant. They are joined by the chirps of crickets and the strange calls of night birds like the potu, whose haunting, mournful cry can send a shiver down your spine if you're not expecting it. And then there are the monkeys. The eerie, roaring howls of howler monkeys at dawn and dusk are one of the most iconic sounds of the Amazon. It's a sound that travels for miles, a primal declaration of their territory. Beneath all these distinct calls is a constant subtle noise, the sound of the jungle itself. The rustle of leaves as a gentle breeze passes through the canopy, or as a small lizard scurries through the undergrowth. The drip, drip, drip of water falling from the leaves long after a rain shower has passed, the faint creak of branches swaying high above. These are the quiet sounds you only notice when you stop and become truly still. They remind you that the jungle is a dynamic, ever-changing environment. It is never truly silent, and every sound tells a story if you know how to listen. Getting around in the Amazon is one of the biggest challenges you'll face. There are no roads, no signposts, and the landscape can look deceivingly uniform. It's incredibly easy to get disoriented and walk in circles. Your best bet is to use natural features as your guide. Water is your lifeline and your map. Following a stream or a river is a solid strategy. Not only does it provide you with drinking water, after purification of course, but it generally flows downhill and will eventually lead to a larger river, which is often where you might find signs of human settlement or an easier route for travel. Today, I'm using a small winding creek as my handrail through the jungle. The going is tough. The banks are often muddy and slick, and I have to crisscross the water frequently to find the path of least resistance. Sometimes, the undergrowth is so thick that it's easier to wade directly in the shallow water, despite the risk of leeches or stepping on a stingray, which often bury themselves in the sandy bottom. You have to probe ahead with a sturdy stick, feeling the ground before you commit your weight. Progress is slow and exhausting, but it's deliberate. Rushing here is a recipe for disaster. Another way to navigate is by using the sun, but that's easier said than done. The dense canopy often blocks out the sky completely, making it impossible to get a direct line of sight to the sun. However, you can sometimes get a sense of its position by observing where the light is brightest in the canopy above. At midday, when the sun is directly overhead, you can barely use it for direction. So you have to rely on other clues: the direction of prevailing winds, the growth patterns of certain mosses, which can sometimes indicate north, or simply creating your own trail markers by snapping branches as you go so you can backtrack if needed. The ultimate navigation tool, if you're lucky enough to have one, is a compass. But even with a compass, the terrain can force you to deviate constantly from your intended bearing. You might have to go 100 meters to the west to get around a massive fallen tree or an impassable swamp, all while trying to maintain a general northward direction. This is where map reading skills and dead reckoning become vital. You have to constantly keep track of your pace, the time you've been walking, and the twists and turns you've made. It's a mentally draining task, requiring constant focus in an environment that is already pushing your physical limits. Finding food in the jungle is a game of knowledge and opportunity. The Amazon is often called a counterfeit paradise because, well, while it's full of life, not everything is edible. In fact, many plants and animals are highly poisonous. Making a mistake can be your last. So, the first rule of foraging is, if you don't know for certain what it is, don't eat it. Your survival depends on finding reliable, safe sources of calories. And honestly, one of the best sources of protein crawling around on the forest floor is insects. Grubs, in particular, are a fantastic find. Earlier today, I spotted a fallen palm tree. These are often prime locations for beetle larvae. Using my knife, I split open a section of the rotting wood. And there they were, big, fat, juicy palm weevil grubs. They might not look appetizing to most people, but to a survivor, these are little nuggets of gold. They are packed with protein and fat, the exact kind of energy you need to keep going. You can eat them raw. They have a slightly nutty, creamy taste, but it's always safer to cook your food if you can. A quick roast on a skewer over a fire not only kills any parasites, but also improves the texture, making them crispy on the outside. Beyond insects, the jungle offers other sources of food if you know where to look. Many palm trees have an edible heart, known as palm heart or chanta. Harvesting it requires felling the tree, which is a lot of work, but the reward is a large, starchy core that can be eaten raw or cooked. It's a sustainable source of carbohydrates. You can also find various fruits, but again, caution is key. I found some wild cacao pods today. The white pulp surrounding the beans is sweet and tangy, a great morale booster, and a good source of quick energy. The beans themselves are bitter but can be roasted. Now, water is even more important than food. You can survive for weeks without eating, but only a few days without water. The jungle is a wet place, but you can't just drink from any pool of stagnant water, which can be teeming with bacteria and parasites. Running water from a stream is better, but it should still be purified. The best method is to boil it. If you don't have a container, you can use a large leaf or a piece of bamboo. Another amazing source of pure, clean water comes from certain vines. By cutting a section of a water vine and letting it drip into your mouth, you can get a refreshing drink filtered naturally by the plant itself. The Amazon is synonymous with incredible wildlife, but seeing the larger animals can be surprisingly difficult. Most of them are shy, nocturnal, and honestly, masters of camouflage. You're far more likely to see signs of them than the animals themselves. Fresh jaguar tracks in the mud, the half-eaten fruit dropped by monkeys, or the scratched bark on a tree where a wild pig has sharpened its tusks. These signs tell you that you are not alone. They are reminders to stay alert. The jaguar is the apex predator here, a powerful and elusive cat. While attacks on humans are rare, you must always show respect for its territory. Making noise as you walk usually ensures they stay well clear of you. The creatures you'll see most often are the smaller ones. Armies of leafcutter ants march in single file across the forest floor, each carrying a piece of leaf many times its own weight back to their massive underground nests. Brightly colored poison dart frogs, stunningly beautiful but deadly, hop among the leaf litter. Their vibrant colors are a warning to predators. I am poisonous. Don't eat me. Looking up, you might catch a glimpse of a sloth moving in super slow motion through the branches, or a troop of squirrel monkeys leaping acrobatically from tree to tree. The air is filled with the flash of iridescent blue as a morpho butterfly flits by. Nighttime is when the jungle truly comes alive with a different cast of characters. This is when many of the predators are on the hunt. Snakes, like the venomous fer de lance or the massive non-venomous anaconda, become active. you have to be incredibly careful where you step and where you set up camp. I always build my shelter off the ground if possible, creating a raised platform to keep me away from creepy crawlies. You also might see tapirs, strange-looking herbivores with long snouts coming down to the water to drink. Or perhaps a capybara, the world's largest rodent, grazing on the riverbank. Every sound in the dark could be something incredible. One of my most memorable encounters on this trip was with a family of giant river otters. I was resting by the creek when they came swimming past, chattering and playing in the water. These are formidable predators, known as the river wolves of the Amazon, and they can grow up to 6 feet long. They moved with such grace and power, working together as a family unit. It was a privilege to witness them in their natural habitat, a moment of pure, wild beauty. It's these encounters, big and small, that make any hardship worthwhile. They are the soul of the Amazon. No amount of planning can prepare you for everything the Amazon will throw at you. The biggest constant challenge is the environment itself. The relentless heat and humidity sap your energy, and you're constantly sweating, which leads to dehydration and the risk of skin infections if you're not careful. And then there are the insects. Mosquitoes are a constant annoyance and can carry diseases like malaria and dengue fever. But they are not alone. Biting flies, chiggers, and ticks are all part of the package. The best defense is to keep your skin covered, even in the heat, and to build a smoky fire at night to keep them at bay. One of the most surprising challenges I faced was a sudden, violent tropical storm. The sky went from bright to dark in a matter of minutes, and the heavens opened up. The rain came down not in drops, but in solid sheets of water. The wind howled through the canopy, and I could hear the terrifying crack of branches breaking overhead. Finding shelter was my #1 priority. I managed to wedge myself into the hollow of a giant buttress root of a kapok tree, which offered some protection from the deluge and falling debris. You feel incredibly small and powerless when faced with the full force of a jungle storm. Another unexpected moment, this time a pleasant one, was stumbling upon a clay lick. This is a cliff face of exposed clay where, for some reason, dozens of parrots and macaws gather every morning. They come to eat the clay, which scientists believe helps them neutralize toxins from the fruits and seeds they eat and provides essential minerals. The sight was breathtaking. A wall of vibrant red, blue, and yellow feathers, all squawking and fluttering. It was a riot of color and sound, a secret meeting place for the birds of the jungle. It was a reminder that the Amazon is full of wonders, often hidden just around the corner. The mental challenges can be just as tough as the physical ones. The deep isolation, the constant vigilance, and the physical discomfort can wear you down. It's easy to let fear or despair creep in, especially if you have a setback, like losing a piece of gear or getting hopelessly lost. This is where the survival mindset is truly tested. You have to stay positive, focus on the immediate task at hand, building shelter, finding water, making a fire, and celebrate small victories. Finding that clay lick, for example, was a huge morale boost. It broke the monotony of green and reminded me of the beauty and magic I was here to experience. Every journey into the wild teaches me something new, but the Amazon is a particularly profound teacher. The most important lesson it reinforces is the power of resilience. Here, life is tough. Every single plant and animal has to fight for its existence every single day. They face constant threats from predators, competitors, and the environment itself. Yet, life doesn't just survive here. It thrives in spectacular fashion. It adapts, it innovates, it finds a way. Seeing a tiny seedling pushing its way through the dark forest floor towards a sliver of light is a powerful metaphor for the strength of life and the importance of never giving up. The jungle also teaches you about interconnectedness. Nothing here exists in isolation. The giant kapok tree provides a home for birds, a highway for monkeys, and its roots prevent soil erosion. The jaguar preys on the tapir, keeping its population in check and ensuring the forest isn't overgrazed. The bees pollinate the flowers, which then produce the fruit that feeds the birds, which in turn spread the seeds to grow new trees. It's a perfectly balanced, intricate system where every single piece, no matter how small, has a crucial role to play. It's a humbling reminder that we too are part of a larger ecosystem. This adventure has also taught me the value of simplicity. Out here, you are stripped of all the non-essentials of modern life. Your concerns boil down to the absolute basics: shelter, water, fire, and food. You realize how little you actually need to be content. A drink of clean water when you're thirsty, the warmth of a fire on a cool night, a dry place to sleep. These simple things bring an immense sense of satisfaction and gratitude. It puts our modern worries and desires into perspective. It makes you appreciate the fundamental things in life that we so often take for granted. Finally, the Amazon teaches you humility. When you stand next to a tree that has been growing for 500 years, or when you hear the roar of a jaguar in the distance, you understand your true place in the grand scheme of things. You are a visitor in a world that is far older, more powerful, and more complex than you can ever fully comprehend. It demands respect. You cannot conquer the jungle. You can only learn to coexist with it, to adapt to its rules. This sense of humility is not about feeling insignificant, but about feeling connected to something vast and magnificent, a part of the incredible story of life on Earth. My journey is coming to an end, but the story of the Amazon is far from over. And right now, it's a story of a paradise in peril. The lessons of resilience, interconnectedness, and humility that the jungle teaches are ones the whole world needs to learn, and quickly. This incredible wilderness is facing unprecedented threats from deforestation for cattle ranching and agriculture, illegal mining that poisons its rivers, and the growing impacts of climate change. We are losing this precious resource at an alarming rate. Every minute, an area the size of several football fields is destroyed. This isn't just a problem for the people and animals of South America, it's a problem for every single one of us. The Amazon is a vital organ for the health of our planet. Its trees act as a global thermostat, regulating climate patterns and absorbing billions of tons of carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas driving climate change. As we cut down the forest, we are not only releasing that stored carbon back into the atmosphere, but we are also destroying the very machine that helps to clean our air. The fate of the Amazon is directly linked to the stability of our planet's future. So, what can we do? It can feel like a problem so big that individual actions don't matter, but that's not true. We can all be part of the solution. We can make more conscious choices as consumers, supporting companies that are committed to sustainable, deforestation-free supply chains. We can support organizations that are on the ground, working with local communities to protect the forest, empower indigenous groups who are its best guardians, and promote sustainable livelihoods. We can use our voices to demand that governments and corporations take meaningful action to stop the destruction. My adventure in the Amazon has been a test of survival, but the real fight for survival is the one to protect this place. It's a fight we cannot afford to lose. We need to see the Amazon not as a resource to be exploited, but as a global treasure to be protected. We must remember the lessons it teaches us about the delicate balance of life. We have a collective responsibility to be the guardians of this green wilderness, for the countless species that call it home, for the health of our planet, and for the future of humanity. Let's not let this emerald heart of our world fade away.